Malayalam cinema has a thing for survival thrillers, and today in particular, I want to talk about two such films which came 1 year apart from each other. It amazes me to see so many similarities between the two, but which one comes on top? Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and the two Malayalam films I'm talking about are 2018, Everyone's a Hero, and Manjummel Boys. And it was actually my rewatch of Manjummel Boys in Hindi with family, and it still worked. The dubbing was decent though. That I noticed its similarities with 2018. It was just insane, as if they have cracked a formula. But honestly, there is no formula. In hindsight, it's easy to notice all these things and connect them. But while it all happens, there is no formula at all. And talking about the similarities between both the films, you can actually learn a lot about the industry, about the filmmaking process, and what makes these two films stand out. If there are any more similarities which I didn't mention in the video, definitely let me know in the comments. So let's start with number one, which is both the films are based on true stories. And that too, what kind of stories? These are feats that deserve to be told in a film. And that shows you there are so many great things that has happened around us that are worth telling. And we need to explore that. And in this case, the stories both the films are tackling is a big task to take. It's not at all easy stories to tell. It's a big commitment. It's a big undertaking. It really needs the 100% commitment from the directors because of the vastness of the setting it's taking place in. All the roadblocks one would face making such stories. And the first thing that would come in mind for an average person thinking about making such film is the budget. Where is the budget? That's not something this industry has in abundance. But what it has is talent. It has people who are not just dreaming, but going out and executing it. And there is no precedence here. It's not like this industry has made a lot of such films and they have done wonders and these directors have grown up on them, so they have been dreaming to make such films. That's not the case at all. Because that's what happens mostly. These were the stories a director really believed in and they just wanted to tell it. And they were ready to face any obstacle that comes in the way. And at the end, they come out victorious with the execution. And talking about the execution, let's come to point number two. How both the films are technically flawless. These are not normal films. One is showing floods. One is showing a humongous cave. I remember watching both the films in the theater. There were so many moments I was flabbergasted, like thinking, how did they even do this? How is this even possible? From using the visual effects to creating practical sets. The sound design is so important to give you that immersive experience. And when you look at the behind the scenes, it just leaves you in awe. Like what all they did. And none of it comes in the way while you're watching the movie. You're totally immersed about it. You don't doubt anything that's happening on screen. All of it is just seamless. And that's why in both the films you get a cinematic experience. In 2018, it's constantly raining. The characters are drenched in water. And as an audience, you feel that. You feel wet. And then you see the behind the scenes, how they shot it. They got this whole area, covered it all around, filled water in it. And then for each sequence, the water level was raised. In Manjummel Boys, creating that claustrophobic feeling with the caves. I couldn't believe when I learned that whole sequence around the cave was a set they created. Unbelievable. And we even go inside that cave. How does it look? How does it sound? We have no idea, but they created it. I listened to the interview of the director. They created different rigs. They created a 40-foot long structure so they could shoot that sequence. They used different techniques. They create their own instrument to give you a sound. You are literally inventing things to tell a story. That's what real filmmaking is. Those are the things that we are forgetting nowadays. It's not just about getting a great camera, just shooting it, and everything will be handled in the post. It's about out of the box thinking. It's about creating stuff. It's about experimenting. And all of this happens behind the scenes. All that matters while watching the film is that you're totally immersed into it. Everything you did behind the scene worked. And both films use the setting as a character. In 2018, rain is a character. You're constantly reminded about it. It's always present throughout. And Manjummel Boys, Guna Cave is a character. It has a history. It has its own characteristics. And talking about character, point number three, both the films has an ensemble cast. Now me having been delved into Malayalam cinema for some time now, I know a lot of people. And for both the films, it actually feels like the whole industry has come together. And that just shows you the camaraderie and the support they have for each other. It's almost unimaginable for other industries to do that. The amount of stars 2018 has to make such a star-studded film will be impossible anywhere else because of the egos, because of the fees each one will charge. It will have an unreasonable budget and a nightmare, but they pulled it off. In Manjummel Boys, all those actors are friends. Someone is a director, someone is a cinematographer. They all work in each other's film and they just came together to make this film. And do remember, both the films are not at all easy films to shoot. They don't have to perform in an ideal situation. It's It's constantly raining, you are mostly outdoors. There are difficult sequences you have to shoot. For most of the film, you're in the same costume. You have to maintain a flow through that. The narrative cannot break. Both the films demand a lot from the actors. And they all deliver. Why? Because of the passion. The passion the director has, the makers have, that travels through everyone involved in the making of the film. And at the end, that reaches to the audience also. Which brings me to point number 4, that both the films went on to collect 200 crore at the box office. And that shows you that hard work conviction pays off. You get rewarded from the audiences. Both the films in their time became the highest grossing Malayalam films. And that number is not just about the profit the film made. That is important. But it also shows you the acceptance the films got for the right content, and that's what we want more. Now coming to the differences, now it's not right to compare the films. Even with all these similarities, it's not apples versus apples. They're two very different films, be it the story, the scale, even the style of filmmaking. If you take 2018, it's a very commercial film. It's based on a very known and recent event, which was very well documented. So the scope of changing the film is very less. Yes, the film has a lot of fictional elements, but it's a challenge too, to take all these stories around a single event and have a cohesiveness, to show the spirit of these people at such a tragic time. How the community comes together in such a situation. It was a victory of human spirit, and the way the film encapsulated that was wonderful. By the end of the film, you feel like you lived through all of it. Whereas Manjummel Boys, I felt was more layered. Maybe the event it's based on, some people knew, but it's not at all documented. So in a way, you are creating the imagery for the first time. Majority of the audiences watching the film wouldn't know how the caves look, but they take the challenge to really go there, to get that authenticity. And the film has a psychological and surreal layers too, with the whole childhood portions, how it takes the cultural significance of Guna caves, that song, and changes the meaning of it. And for me personally, I feel like Manjummel Boys is more of a complete film. But both the films in their respective ways stand for themselves. What about you? Which one do you prefer more? Let me know in the comments. And here you can check out my video on the dominance of Malayalam cinema in 2024. It's been crazy. If you like this video, do hit that like button and I will see you next time.